Tomorrow is a vision, but a day well lived makes every yesterday a dream of happiness and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Carrying the same vision, we KIHS-MRF family successfully completed 15 glorious and tremendously productive years of its existence. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, members of faculty, and dear friends, a very good morning to all. It's a privilege to welcome you all to this special occasion. Today, we gather here to celebrate the 15th Foundation Day of our esteemed institution. This is indeed a momentous occasion as we reflect upon the progress and achievements of our center in the field of reverse pharmacology and AIMD, that is Ancient Insights and Modern Discoveries. Today is not just a day on the calendar, it is a celebration of the journey, the milestones, and the achievements that have shaped our institution. Indeed, it's a day to reminisce about the past, celebrate the present, and envision a promising future.
Before we start the intellectual feast of the day, let's take a moment to express our gratitude towards the Almighty. We invite children from Anshu for invocation, and we request our dignitaries to light the lamp of knowledge and wisdom and proceed towards the dais. The chief guest of this program, Dr. Raghunath Mashilkar, our guest of honor, Dr. V. Prakash, guest of honor, Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan, Dr. B.S. Garg, Secretary, Kasturba Health Society. We also request Dr. Rama Vaidya, Secretary of Research and Administrative Committee, and Dr. Deepak Dave, Medical Director, KIHS-MRF, Dr. Ashwini Kumar Raut, Joint Head and Clinical Research Director, KIHS-MRF, to join our guest.
Om Namo Harihandanam, Om Namo Siddhanam, Om Namo Ayaryanam, Om Namo Vajjayanam, Namukaro, Savva Pava Panasana, Mangalam to Savasing, Padhavai Mangalam, Padhavai Mangalam.
Kratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Ya Kundendu Tusharadharadhavala Ya Shubhravasravrita Ya Veena Varadanda Manditakara Ya Shveta Padmasana Ya Brahmachyuta Shankara Prabhutibhir Devai Sada Vandita Samam Patu Saraswati Bhagavati Nisheshadadyapaha Om Bhurбhuvah
Swaha
Tatsaviturvarenyam
Vargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodaya. Thank you. Thank you.
Day. As we celebrate 15 Foundation Day, we invite Dr. Shobha Udupi, Research Director, KIHS-MRF.
Suswagatam. A very warm welcome to one and all here. I extend this welcome on behalf of my guru and mentor, Dr. Ashok Vaidya, whose physical presence we all keenly miss. But I know that his spirit and his blessings are always there with us. I would like to welcome our chief guest, Dr. Raghunath Mashilkar, who in spite of a tremendously busy schedule has spared some time for us to come all the way from Pune and be with us for this momentous and joyous occasion. Thank you very much, sir. I am equally honored to welcome our two guests of honor, Dr. V. Prakash, who has made it all the way from Mysore in spite of his busy schedule and delayed flights. Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan, who will be with us in spirit and online later. He is not able to be with us physically because of illness. I would like to welcome him too. These have been our mentors, our supporters, our backbones, and our pillars of strength in this short but yet sometimes long journey. I also welcome all our benefactors, without whom today we would not be even standing here. I also thank all our collaborators and welcome all of them, Dr. Madan, Dr. Dalal, and so many of you from Sayana Ayurved, from Dr. Lal, who is from Farmanza, and so many who are here, who have been with us in this journey throughout, Dr. Smita Mahale from NIRRH, and so on. Because without you, this occasion will not be a celebratory occasion. I will not take up too much of your time. I would now end with a prayer. Om Sahana Vavatu, Sahanau Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै. ओम शांति शांति शांति. धन्यवाद.
We are honored to have the distinguished personalities among us, and we appreciate the time they have taken to be with us today. As a token of appreciation, we would like to offer you a small present as a symbol of gratitude. We request Dr. Jayashree Joshi and Dr. Ashwini Kumar Rao to felicitate our chief guest, Dr. Raghunath Mashelkar. We request Dr. Jayashree Joshi and Raut sir to felicitate our guest of honor, Dr. V. Prakash sir. We also felicitate Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan, our guest of honor, but he could not be here with us today offline, but he is present online with us. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Sure, sure. So we felicitate Dr. Sachin on behalf of Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan. We request Dr. Nutan Nabar and Dr. Rao to felicitate Dr. B.S. Garg, Secretary, KHS. Shroff from Excel Industries, he is here with us, and no words can even describe the support and encouragement that late Shri Kantibai Shroff and his family gave not to only Dr. Ashok Vaidya.
No. It's we would not have been start from Bhavans Park to here. For some reason, we had to shift, and unless they would have helped us.
We request Dr. Mashelkar to felicitate.
Next day, our colleagues were in the labs, and it hardly ever happens. I'm reminded of JBS Haldane, who had said that in very small amount, you can do a lot if you are dedicated. And that's what they have helped us. Thank you so much, Shunbai and Kamlesh Bhai. We are missing Kaka,
We request
also Jaisuk Bhai. Yes,
Dr.
thank you so
Mashelkar
much.
sir to please felicitate.
Yeah. Yeah, please get it done. Sure, sure, they will be happy to receive from. आपको करना बताते हैं. Thank you so much. And Prajakta, there is one more person, Jasmine Ben. Right now. Jasmine Ben is right here. I know that sometimes I do give surprises, but they are worthwhile. There are very few people who stand by you. And stand by like you can just say that even at the middle of the night. And since we have changed the program, we might as well see that they have taken trouble to come all the way. Now it is Jasmine Ben after.
Jasmine Bain Majitia with Chandan family and Gayatri Bain Babubhai Singhania. Our 7 life science laboratories required sophisticated instruments to keep up with the demands of AIMD research.
Give somebody hand to Jasmine Ben, please.
A legacy from them is remembered every day as we meet our friends, spectrophotometer, Lamina Hood, incubator. We request Mashelkar sir to please felicitate them.
Thank you, Kamlesh Bhai. And Jasmine Ben. Jasmine Ben has changed the life of those who have, what, tell me? Thalassemia, correct. So all over the country, she has done so much work for that. Kai wando nahi. It's okay. Ha, ha, ha. Thank you, Chandrakant Bhai. I'm glad you are here. हाँ हाँ आपसे Thank you, thank you.
We also had Shri Kamlesh Bhai Bhuta with us from Bhuta family.
Yeah, he came.
Yeah. Now we request our committee members to escort our guests to their chair in the audience.
Sorry to do because you are not going to be there. These are extremely important people.
वृक्ष तो आनंद लेला फळा फुलांनी बहरलेला मातीत खोल रुजलेला शत हातांनी विस्तारलेला बीज रुजवलेला ज्यांनी सिंचले स्व हातांनी जीव लाविला ज्यांनी नमन त्यांना अंतरी आज तुमच्या साक्षीने आठवू तो दिवस भक्तीने स्थापना ध्येय वृत्तीने केली पूर्ण शक्तीने ही गाथा वेगळ्या विचारांची ही कथा दृढ तत्वांची ही गोष्ट एका कुटुंबाची आणि अपार त्यागाची ही कथा शास्त्रचिंतनाची नवपुराण संयोगाची ही गाथा अथक संशोधनाची KIHS-MRFची
Foundation Day is not just a celebration, it's reflection of the values our institution stands for. It's a day to remember our roots, honor our struggle, and appreciate the collective efforts that have brought us where we are today. To share the vision of KIHS-MRC and to pave the way forward, we invite Dr. Ashok Vaidya, Emeritus Scientist, former Research Director, and Dr. Rama Vaidya, Secretary, Research Administrative Committee.
Good morning, friends. At the outset, I would like to thank how delighted we are for your presence. Dr. Mashelkar, you know it. And you know it so well, how close you and Ashok has been in the journey which I only remember Jebius Haldane. And so thank you so much for your presence. Equally, Dr. Garg, Dr. V. Prakash, we will miss Bhushan. And if I'm missing anybody, I'm very happy that out of turn, these girls must have felt, what am I doing? But we needed to acknowledge the presence of those who have stood by us. It was not easy, a change at the age of 70 years to create another institute. But who were there to help? Kasturba Health Society. Not only that, but also Stanakwasi Jain Aradhna Dham, where we got, and Dr. Ashok Mehta, we really thank him. So now, the next. I was just talking this morning to Dr. Mashelkar, and I said that AIMD you remember, but sir, you may or may not remember pre-AIMD days. And pre-AIMD days, the next slide shows, yeah, you can see that small barrack in the Bharati Vidya Bhavan's Andheri campus. And Saturday, Sunday were not at home, but Ashok was doing something which was pre-AIMD days. And you can understand that the fight that I must have had, that even Saturday, Sundays were gone. I was not so much understanding of the genius that he had, and we had fights at times. And I talked about this fight when we received a big grant, and in Governor's Bungalow, where Alexander and previous president, they were sitting there, and they said that, can we afford, can we do this? So Ramakrishna ji naturally asked, Amankar sir, please. And so he asked that, Ashok, can you answer? And Ashok, in his very mild ways, answered something. So I said, can I talk? And I said, why are you at Bhavan's Park? They don't deserve you. That's what I said. And I said to the ex-president of India that, sir, you had inaugurated it in presence of a Nobel laureate. I may open something and I may close something. So I think they've gone through difficult days. We had to also. However, his spirit never wavered. And that's why pre-AIMD days, and you were asking me, and you said that Ashok has coined AIMD, but the pre-AIMD days were also there. The next slide, please. And that's why, whether you look back, that was forward, you can look. Next. And this book, just now you saw, Dr. Mashelkar, and you opened a page where you were there. And so, in this, that was a journey of 20 years, which was at Bhavan's Park. Now that journey is for 15 years, and we are celebrating 15 years Foundation Day here. You can see some of the people who are present, none other than Jai Prakash Narayan ji were there, and also Shantilal Mehta. Dr. Shantilal Mehta, maybe only our generation would remember him as a great surgeon. And also very close to Mahatma Gandhi ji. And Gandhi ji one day, Dr. Prakash, what he said, "Ye kya pehna hai tune?" Because he was wearing a tie. And he just did that. And that's what, and Shantilal Mehta was a surgeon of that time. You really cannot talk to him much. But he was very fond of Ashok, and he was very keen that he becomes a director of Just Look Hospital, which he denied, and he considered that AIMD was more important. The next slide, please. Now, that we were at Bhavan's Park, it was very kind of Dhirubhai to be a part of us, where he visited Dhirubhai Mehta, the president of Kasturba Health Society. Today he's not here because of his commitment, but we have our brother, Dr. Garg, always standing by for any difficulty that we have. Thank you, Dr. Garg. And that's why, and you can see, Ashwin, you can see yourself there? There, yeah. Dr. Ashwin and all of us had Bhavan Spark. We had to suddenly move out within a month, an institute that was created. In a month's time, it would not have been possible, but Kamlesh Bhai today also says, if you have to move out of your third floor, and sir, you will visit third floor, and I'm sure our research director will take you there. And we have to move from there. Now, sudden moves like that in a scientist's life is not that easy. But that happens because we are in India. Okay, so the next slide. At that time, however, we had such words, and I would like to read it out. And that was from Sai Sri Makran, by the way. Happens to be my maternal uncle-in-law, saint poet of Gujarat. And what he has written is amazing. Sometimes now I'm organizing and letters from him to Ashok when he was a medical student. It's amazing, it's amazing. If I find this, I would like to read it out. Just a minute, I will. In a moment. Yeah. The glory of wisdom is as old as the rising sun, and as new as the morning dew. When insights of ancient sages and discoveries of modern scientists join hands, I pray that a revolutionary and a revealing truth may emerge, which would lead us towards a world of basic unity in all its apparent diversities. I wish that the mathematics of the universe and the music of spheres will mingle in a symphony of highest meaning and purest delight. This has been great. The next comes as a warning, and warning comes from none other than Swami Ranganathananji, great orator from Ramakrishna. And what he says is that, but in all the discoveries of physical science, also the last stage is often more a spontaneous insight than a labored discovery. This is the special feature of the inductive jump in scientific method. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is the special feature of the inductive jump in scientific method, where knowledge marches from the known to the unknown. But the spontaneity of this last step depends on the hard labor of the previous steps, without which insight will become reduced to gamble in guesswork and incapable of standing the rigorous scientific test of verification. And that's why I think as important is the intuition, the same way hard labor is also equally important. And Sri Jaiprakash Narayanji said, to my mind, this is one of the most significant projects ever undertaken in this country. And I can see that Dr. Mashelkar approves of that. Thank you so much. And then comes the most favorite former president of our country, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Ashok and he had some, I think, private talks, and he has not shared that with me. So I will not be able to share that with you too. But he says that efficient utilization of this existing knowledge base can create wealth for us in the form of better health, education, and other indicators of progress. Whether a nation qualifies as a knowledge society is judged by how effectively it deals with knowledge creation and knowledge development. One of the things I would like to talk to you, both Dr. Prakash, Dr. Garg, and Dr. Mashelkar, sir, is that archiving from the notes of Vedas, extremely important, the entire area. How do we see that it comes in a most organized manner? Because today, and I had met somebody who was archiving, so they have a special PhD in archiving. So such people who will also honor our ancient knowledge and heritage and has this degree, we need to look at this. And maybe some of you, including Dr. Shobha Udupi Madam Ashwin sir and Nutan madam, we may have to look into this. Now comes somebody who's sitting right here, and I'm going to read about his message, what he said then. He said this was the first center in the world, Pawan's Park, where state-of-the-art life sciences, Ayurveda, and modern medicine were selectively synergized for research, education, and services. In a way, that was the pre-verbal dawn of the Golden Triangle. And you will remember Chitrakoot for sure. Over the years, significant work has been carried out. Despite limited resources, sir, it still remains the same, limited resources. The center is at the forefront of knowledge renaissance in India. Reverse pharmacology approach takes deep roots in our new drug development. And I will take an opportunity. I have been thanking many people, but I would thank all my colleagues under Dr. Shobha UDP, Dr. Ashwin sir, Dr. Nutan madam, and the rest of them. If you meet them today, they will not even show that they are working under difficult conditions. Why? Because they are so dedicated and so enthusiastic. All this that you see today, all this, and some of you will have time, please do go through all the posters that are presented here. Do go through. And I would love that some of the youngsters who are here, they will be coming. They will have an opportunity to go through this. We had very unique two things that happened, Dr. Mashelkar here. And one was a recipe competition. And that had to be a nutrition scientist or from pharmacy and somebody from modern medicine or Ayurveda or even homeopathy perhaps, I don't remember that well, but even that. And that was very good. Today you may not have time, but those children will also be coming. They will receive prizes. And so I thought it was a very nice way of trying to give a call for trans-system, multidisciplinary bridges to be built. Next, please. Oh, sorry, Ashok had said something. I shouldn't miss that. Yeah, earlier side. Please, earlier. Can you go to? Yeah. A paradigm shift was needed in the approaches in new drug discovery and development. We must and can refocus on the novel biodynamic effects of natural products in human as starting points for drug discovery. He has said this, but all this from the traditional knowledge is not only for drug discovery, but fundamental knowledge that it can contribute to new disciplines actually to the biomedical science. Next, please. Dr. Mashelkar, sir, do you remember this? Can you just share that loudly with us, please? Because that was such a moment you must have felt. You will be telling that. So I'm not going to take that away from sir. Thank you. Can we go to the next? So you can see the happy family from Bhavan's Park shifted to KIHS-MRF. This was in 2007, 2008, and that's why we are here, 15 Foundation Day. And it was really that the umbrella that we got, that was from Bhavan's Park to Kasturba Health Society. Now, Kasturba Health Society's secretary is then Dr. Pratibha Narang, who gave us this logo, and Dr. Garg, who is sitting here right amongst us, always with us, and with Dr. V. Prakash and Dr. Garg. They have continued to see that we are on a right track, not only appreciating us, they do, but they do take us to task also, both of them. And thank you, Dr. Prakash, for that. And if I say, I was very happy that you did that. And he said, you know, my father had always done this, so I am doing the same to you people. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Next slide, please. So now the way ahead, that is really what Dr. Vaidya has always told us. Less traveled AIMD path now continues to be a major quest. Considerable work has been done earlier at Bhavan's Park and now at KIHS-MRF. The next slide, please. Now, one thing that I remember where I really felt like joining the journey that Dr. Vaidya had taken. was my conviction, because I was coming back from Yale. I always believed so much on the rational thinking mechanisms and things like that. So we had arguments at times at home. And very strong that my daughter, Professor Vidita Vaidya, witnessed that and said that it's not always very happy days. I've seen you people fighting. But then I was very much, and Professor P.K. Devi always used to say to me, to Dr. Jayashree Joshi, who's sitting here, is that you're crazy about mechanisms. I said, till the mechanisms are known, how do I accept? Ashok says that observational, experience-based is extremely important. Only thing you document them well. So the experiential phase is so much that when we thought that we were being thwarted in the international high-impact journals as well as in lay, I thought to myself, why don't we start Ayurvedic pharmacoepidemiology? And Ayurvedic pharmacoepidemiology will be such that we will see that so much data exists. And unless we create that data, and now I think it's happening, both Dr. Nutan Nabar did her PhD and Dr. Girish Tillu did PhD on Ayurvedic pharmacoepidemiology. Now, why I got convinced about this, in the very early years of Ashok's appointment with Siba Gagi, he used to regularly visit Dr. Antarkar, Vedya Antarkarji, at Podar Hospital. And they had a Ayurvedic formulation, Arogyavardhini and Punarnavadikvat. And in this, there was an observation that it was very helpful for infective hepatitis. So when it was, they gradually found coming to the single plant, and at that time on formulation, first time in the world, double-blind placebo-controlled trial was done, Padma Madam. Double-blind placebo-controlled trial on an Ayurvedic formulation. That was an eye-opening for me. It requires that whenever we have, and please note some of you who are keen to still do clinical research, that unless a senior colleague is present at the place of observation, juniors can't. Today's CROs, no, what is it? The CROs. They have who? Interns, filling up the form, GCP, very good. Everything very good. But where is the experience for them to observe? So unless you insist of a multidisciplinary trans system with senior colleagues, which happens to be here, unless they are there, this doesn't happen. Very rarely somebody like Dr. Jayashree Joshi, who is there at Podar, at Sayan Ayurvedic, and Dr. Raut at Podar, even now, they are trying to see that they bring in that. And Dr. Nutan also, the diabetes clinics are at two places, both at Podar, at Ayurvedic Sayan Hospital and here. So in that, in short, I will not go through completely. Another double-blind placebo-controlled trial was done on the single plant that was in this formulation, and that was Picorizocoroa. And next slide shows, this is very well summarized by, I think it comes still next. I still want to take to the next. The rest of it I can speak. Next slide. Okay. So we had also in vivo and in vitro studies. And in vitro studies, our student got first prize internationally, nationally, and also a Young Investigators Award that Hiteshi got. And Hiteshi and Dr. Raut together has written such a beautiful entire review article, which shows in the next slide. Picrolive taken up for clinical studies for non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, ICMR's Advanced Center for Drug Development. I forgot to tell you that when we were shifting from Bhavan's Park to this place, actually we had just started with ICMR's Advanced Center for Reverse Pharmacology for Traditional Medicine. It was very nice that we didn't come empty-handed. We already had that project. After this project, now we are ICMR's Advanced Center for Product Development. So with all that, our work that was done earlier for Arogyavardhini, Picrozakurua, Picrosides, etc., now is going through the drug development. Am I right, Dr. Raut? Yeah, and Dr. Jayshree Joshi is a PI. Dr. Raut is very keenly working on this, and I happen to be a co-PI. Next slide, please. Neural mitochondriogenesis and Ayurvedic rasayanas. We have Sashena here with us, who is working day and night with those. I don't know how she gets those neurons. Neurons from babies. Rate embryonic. I don't know how you handle them, but you do. And this is an outstanding finding which appeared in very high impact journals, yes. And I think you have put up the posters also. Those who are keen to go through, they will be able to go through that. So findings identify 5-HT as an upstream regulator of mitochondrial biogenesis and function in cortical neurons and implicate the mitochondrial effects of 5-HT in its neuroprotective action. Along with Sashena and Vidita, Professor Vidita from TIFR, Sir is guiding Dr. Ashok Vaidya, and from us, Dr. Prajakta and Birja and Siddhesh Tholam. All of them are working with them also. So we have a very close collaboration, and actually Sashena is associate professor with us here. And thank you for your presence. Thanks. Next. This is another field which is great. Biocrystals and their growth inhibition by Ayurvedic plants. I will not take too much time. I would just say that there have been about 20 publications and 5 students got their PhD. The PhD thesis and DBT research grant on crystal arthropathy. From the students who are here, want to know something more, Dr. Raut can explain this because he has very closely worked with Dr. Mihir Joshi. Dr. Mihir Joshi is still available to us in Rajkot, Saurashtra. Every time we went to Rajkot every year, twice in a year, moment we will be ending there, he will come with his 5-10 students. And I was wonder, and then as usual, what you had done to us, Dr. Prakash, when we visited you, Jamna, can you put up some lunch for all of us? And so sometimes I used to wonder, is this crystals more important or the lunch I try to manage for them? But we did. And this was something great, really. Dr. Mihir Joshi has just retired, but he has joined another place and continues to be a guide. And Dr. Raut, Dr. Vaidya, they are going to talk to, particularly for atheromas. And this is a field which is still awaiting, so the way ahead is there because you never complete anything. So it is a way ahead, that is the next, please. Integrative Oncology and Consortium for Clinical Pharmacology for Cancer Research. Dr. Vikram Gota, that you can see here, I can't make out where he is, I think on the left side there, yeah. Once came to visit Dr. Vaidya at KIHS-MRF here on the 6th floor. They were all meeting, they were all talking to each other. Ashok has had a desire to in-depth work on cancer. And it has been there from our Yale days. So I kept on saying that, but how? How would it happen? Unless and right now, of course, in cancer research, Ayush has given a very huge grant, and that grant has gone to Tata. Yeah. On his return, he gave a series of lectures on spontaneous regression of cancer at Tata. And Dr. Ashok Mehta happened to be, I guess, very high up there and head of a department. And he had a patient of pancreatic cancer. Hardly ever you see such a cancer getting regressed. And he brought out that case. Ashok's diary, he writes diary every day, Dr. Mashelkar. In that he has written the histopathology number, patient's number, And he has asked us, we have not been able to still do that, that it must be there, and I want to see it again, because Dr. Shukmeta agreed. For 5 years, he had come for a follow-up. So that was not a survival period that was expected. And so when they were talking, Dr. Vikram Gota, who is a clinical pharmacologist with ETREC. Right. So they were talking. Since they were talking, for the first time I jumped in. I want to be a part of it. Why did I want to be part of it? Whenever a genius is working, it's not that easy to work with a genius, because you have your methodology. And so I said, no, I'll be a part of it. And Vikram and Ashok, Dr. Raut, and all of you that you see here, we became a part of CCPCR. And we are supposed to have every fortnight a dialogue on these different difficult areas. This needs to be nurtured, because I think that Dr. Siddesh Dhulam is working on urine. We won't have time to get into this, but one day we should have, Padma Madam, definitely a webinar, or I think brainstorming is the best. Yeah, we should do that. Next. So integrative oncology areas of research. Thanks, Prajakta, for making this slide for me, but we will not have time to go through. There are various areas, and on turmeric oil and oral submucous fibrosis, Dr. Amonkar was here, late Dr. Sirsat, late Dr. Bhide, all of them work together, and Dr. Jayashree Joshi has quite an experience in this area too. Thank you. Next slide, please. So now comes Dr. Jagmeet Ben. Where are you? Great, thank you. She goes internationally. More often, as you said, Dr. Mashelkar, to find Dr. Jagmeet Madan, it's difficult. Where is she? In Delhi? Where is she? In California? Or where is she? But she's a musician. And one day she sent 2 of her performances, and I was surprised at how she gets that energy. The music can vibrate and give energy. Thank you so much. And Dr. Pratima Madam is also here. I'm so glad that you are here. So in this almond projects, we have had twice. They have liked us. We have published. And there is 4 theses in the first project, and the second one, 2 theses. And I think that all youngsters who are working with Shobha Madam and Jagmeet Madam. I remember that day, Jagmeet, when you came to my clinic, at Vasudha Clinic, and you said we want to work on pre-diabetes. This is an extremely important area, and I want attention of all senior colleagues who are sitting here. That she said that we want to work on pre-diabetes. So how will you see? By HbA1c. If you go by HbA1c, my experience as a reproductive endocrinologist of so many years where I had concentrated on polycystic ovarian syndrome, I knew that you will not be able to find pre-diabetes without giving a glucose challenge test. Because when you do 2 hours, at least by blood sugar, then you will be able to find. And that is WHO. But more than that, since I was very keen in a chamber, in a clinic, that I wanted to find even earlier than. I was not the first one. There is one guy who has revolutionized this field, is that insulin comes first. At 2 hours if you do, and you will find. And Dr. Shabha Udipi, Dr. Sharwari, and others, Dr. Jagmeet Madam, they all have faith in this, and we did the entire project. We could find more than 1,300 that we screened, a large number. And I think somewhere it was written here, if it's not there, it doesn't matter. Hyperinsulinemia, an early biomarker of metabolic dysfunction. As both of you know, Dr. Prakash, Dr. Garg, and Dr. Mashelkar, all of you know that diabetes is our... So early diagnosis, obesity, metabolic syndrome. If you have insulin levels, can you do community studies? Maybe you can't, because it would require the help of the lab. It will be invasive. So maybe HbA1c is okay, But if you take the complete history, and Dr. Shobha DP is trying with her colleagues to make a kind of an index through the history you find out, and then try to do at 2 hours glucose challenge, insulin, and you will find diabetes in situ. And diabetes in situ, once you find with the history and other things, then you can take actions. And the actions to be taken are 3 transitions. A woman has 3 transitions. At the time of pubertal transition, there is a physiological hyperinsulinemia. Obesity makes it worse. Again, pregnancy and lactation. Again, menopause. These are physiological hyperinsulinemia. With obesity and metabolic syndrome, it becomes pathological. So the target groups are simple and identified, and if you want to have camps 40 years and above, pubertal transition are the target groups. The next. I think now we are coming to an end. Okay. Kalpana is here? Yeah, okay. She is a pediatrician, head of a department at DY Patil, and also director of Panchkarma here. And I think that Steps to Swasthya is a lifestyle management program that we have here. We want to see that for adolescent health, and adolescent health clinics should be, if you target this group that I just mentioned, then many things can happen. And sometimes I feel that Panchkarma specialist, and I do have a little bit of, not fight, but arguments with Dr. Raut, Dr. Fadke, and Nutan and others, that you say that Panchkarma is a very special, should not be taken as a 5-star hotel gym. I totally agree with them. But I feel these days when I get too tired, we have just come back from hospital with Ashok for 5 days there, and we are ready to go another 2 weeks' time. In that tiredness, when I take nice bath twice a day, after bath, I feel so fresh. So even massage and bath makes you, so Panchkarma should be made simplified for what is known as chronic fatigue syndrome, and should be tried. And so maybe if you all feel like looking into from a scientific point of view, please look into that. The next. Okay. I'll have to read this. This is really, Ashok has written this, and there is a message to all of us in that. So let me see. Ancient cultures awakening and tumultuous global interactions. That is happening. Ancient insights restless to nourish Renaissance energies with modern discoveries. Global cultures and their achievements clamor to be a part of India's growth and development. The chaotic situation due to diverse groups of fanatic adherents to contrary views. Most important sentence. A transcendent vision synergizes a path dissolving the polarity leading to actionable plans. And I can see the smile on Dr. Mashelkar's face that I'm finding it difficult, but I do traverse to that. The way ahead through transdisciplinary and trans-system collaborative research. That is the way ahead. And the next is last slide. That is the last slide. See this carefully. I was ICMR's Thrust Symposium at the end of our 5 years it was. At 3 o'clock I was drawing something. Ashok comes that you write that sleep deprivation causes insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome, and what are you doing? I was trying to see that if there are juxtaposed Ayurvedic medical school and also modern medical school, they can utilize some of the labs, biostatisticians and other things in between. They could have selective places. Dr. Male, they can have selective places in a most meaningful way. And you have been also championing some of these Dr. Gitanjali also says so. And Ayush has so much funds now that if a proper project is written at those places where they're juxtaposed in their physical, because two brothers, one got less marks and went into Ayurveda and another one went MBBS. They are sitting together on a common platform, having lunch together. Oh, I have this case. How do you solve it? Oh, this can be solved. So there is some kind of a least prejudiced people are there at the bottom. They can talk to each other. Yeah, Ashwin Bhai, that can happen. And some of you, Jasmine Bhai and all of you, could start some fellowships in the name of interdisciplinary and trans system. And some, in a very small way, we have done it here. And that is there in this. With these words, I think, I'm sorry I've taken a lot of time, but I thought we wanted to express ourselves. And in presence of Dr. Mashelkar, Dr. Prakash sir, Dr. Garg, and Bhushan we are missing. But that's why this is what I've done.
Thank you, Madam, and Vaidya sir, for taking us through the past and present and paving the way for the future of KIHS-MRF. Kasturba Health Society, started by Dr. Sushila Nair with the vision and ideology of Mahatma Gandhi, is our parent institution. President of Kasturba Health Society, Shri Dhirubai Mehta, his support and guidance have been instrumental in our progress. We request Dr. Ashwini Kumar Rao to introduce Shri Dhirubai Mehta.
Respected guest, Dr. R. M. Shelkar sir, Dr. V. Prakash, Dr. Garg, distinguished dignitaries and benefactors of MRC KHS, my friends and colleagues. I have a pleasant duty and I feel that it is my privilege to introduce Sri Dhirubai Mehta, who is President of KIHS-MRF and also President of Kasturba Health Society. In fact, our association is of more than 3.5 decades. You have seen when Dr. Rama Vaidya made her presentation that Dhirubai was with us as a CEO and director when we were at Bhavan's Park. And he continues to guide us even today. Besides being the president of Kasturba Health Society, over 2.5 decades now, Garg sir, in 2001, he took up the presidentship of KHS. He is professionally a chartered accountant with expertise in finances, investments, taxation, and corporate management. And our financial plans are guided by Dhirubai ji and also administrative wise. But he gives us full freedom when it comes to the growth and development in our healthcare management, healthcare education, and healthcare research. He has a long association with corporate world as a director and as advisor to many reputed companies. But he changed his life course at the age of 50 years. From mesmerizing metropolis, he changed his focus to rural realities. So in a way, what I feel, not in a classical way of changing from Grihasthashram to the Vanaprasthashram at the right time when he turned 50. But what he brought, the corporate discipline to the social organizations. He has been associated to several social organizations. He has been president of Shivananda Mission, which is a well-equipped eye hospital situated in the Rajkot district, and lakhs of operations have been conducted by this organization. He is also a chairman of Navjivan Trust, which was established none other than Mahatma Gandhi himself. He is a trustee and president for several years of Mani Bhavan. We all know, youngsters maybe, there is a Mani Bhavan in Mumbai, which showcases the work of Gandhiji and his books. He is trustee of Kasturba Gandhi National Memorial Trust. Again, it has a focused work on upliftment of rural women and children, which is very at heart to the Dhirubhai-ji. He has been a trustee of Jamnalal Bajaj Foundation. We all know the celebrated function yearly of Jamnalal Bajaj Foundation. He is also trustee of Gujarat Vidyapeeth, Nandigram Trust, and so many other different trusts. He is also associated with Gandhi Peace Foundation, Gandhi Memorial Leprosy Foundation, and many more other social organizations. Now, Dhirubhai-ji is a follower of Gandhian principles in his thoughts and action both. He had the fortune to be associated in close contact with Vinobaji Bhave, with Jayaprakash Narayan. Particularly during emergency, he had actively participated in anti-emergency movement fight. And obviously Dr. Sushila Nair-ji. You must have observed one simple thing, his simplicity, and he will always be in the attire of khadi. I have never seen him without khadi. You go to any function. But many of us do not know his facet in literature and journalism. We know Nandini Ben. We lost her, Nandini Ben Dhirubhai Mehta, and her brilliance in poetry. But very few people know that Dhirubhai also has penned more than 200 articles. And he has contributed a book on Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. He is also a trustee of a publisher, popular Gujarati publisher, Janmabhoomi. So finally, I would like to quote a sentence of Sri Dhirubhai-ji, which he had talked on the inauguration of our center here. And I quote him, "Whenever there is a conflict between ethics and immediate financial problems, we would always like to go with ethics." And then he explains, and not to the financial needs. And then he explains that these financial needs are taken care of eventually. If I want to describe Dhirubhai-ji in one sentence, I would say he pursued Gandhian philosophy with a mindset of Karma Yoga. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Shri Dhirubhai Mehta could not join us today due to his health issues, but he has sent his blessings and message. We request Dr. B.S. Garg to read his message.
Chief guest of the program, respected Dr. Masilekar, Dr. V. Prakash, Dr. Patwardhan, Dr. Ashok Vaidya, Dr. Rama Vaidya, other distinguished person here, ladies and gentlemen. I bring greeting to you all from Sri Dhirubhai Mehta. Dr. Ashwini Bhai just now described him. Dhirubhai Mehta is President of Kasturba Health Society for last 24 years, exactly from January 2001. and I have been associated with him for last 31 years. He's a true Gandhian, always wear khadi, and he has a high regard to Dr. Ashok Vaidya and Dr. Rama Vaidya and to MRC KHS. For me personally, in case you want to ask, say I met Dr. Ashok Vaidya when I was Dean of the Institute in 2010, I think. He talked of reverse pharmacology. I did not know what he's talking because I'm a public health person. I never thought what is this reverse pharmacology. So first time I learned what is the reverse pharmacology. But then also, say I thought they are talking theoretically. I was not in touch with MRC KHS at all. But once when I took over as the Secretary Kasturba Health Society in 2014 and came to contact, so it was really mesmerizing. I did not think that say in management we say, managing the optimum from existing resources. So I think it's the perfect example. With the minimum resources, the output which they have produced is phenomenal. Say, so many medical institutes having budget maybe 100 times or 1,000 times more, they have not produced that much research output which this MRC KHS has produced. And is providing direction to the people like me, initiative to people like me, how to go ahead. Say, I remember Gandhiji when inaugurated Tibia College in 1925 on the request of Hakim Ajmal Khan. He said one thing, yes, I'm very happy to inaugurate this, but more happy because this in Ajmal Khan, I see that not only Tibia, but Ayurveda, allopathy, homeopathy, everything is combined. So I think MRC KHS also is providing this integrated approach, promoting integrated approach. But challenge is that whatever the knowledge has been accumulated, generated at MRC KHS, now how to take it forward and help the poorest poor. That was another dream of Gandhiji's. I remember when Gandhiji inaugurated this National Institute of Naturopathy in Pune on request of Dinsha Mehta. He inaugurated, then Dr. Dinsha Mehta requested him to be trustee. He says, I'll be a trustee of this institute only on one condition, that in your constitution you write that poor will get free of cost treatment. So whatever the knowledge we are generating here, we have to see that it helps the poorest poor. Because, say, for a rich person getting now healthcare services in this country is not difficult at all. But really poor, they are suffering a lot. And we have to do something for them. Now, as far as the work of MRC KHS is concerned, say, under the able guidance of Dr. Vaidya, Dr. Rama Vaidya, and learned people like Dr. Rashn Raut, Dr. Jayashree Vaidya, Dr. Nutan, and Madam Sobha Dupi. Say, they have worked in different fields and generated immense knowledge. Now, say, I think last year or before last year, say, not Stanford University is publishing the 200 scientist list, and say from MGIMS Sevagram, from Maharashtra Medical Colleges, only few people are there, but always Dr. Vaidya name will be there. So it reflects that what amount of work this MRC KHS is doing, And say, madam, at Kasturba Health Society, we are starting a Department of Integrative Medicine from 1st of April. Yeah. And I request MRC KHS to collaborate to provide them the guidance. I think it may be a good opportunity to bring Mahatma Gandhi Institute Medical Sciences and MRC KHS together. And because we don't have the intellectual or we don't have the manpower, we don't have good human resources at integrative medicine. So in case we get support from MRC KHS, I think our Department of Integrative Medicine will get the proper direction. And I request Dr.
Dr. Drugs will be in-house collaboration. And we will be coming to our own home. And so we'll be really waiting for this. And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We must thank Government of India because see, at Mahatma Gandhi Institute Medical Sciences is a public-private partnership where 75% funding comes from government, 50% from Government of India and 25% from Government of Maharashtra. So in the last governing council meeting, they agreed to start this Department of Integrative Medicine, which we are going to start from 1st of April. So that is just a coincidence. We never thought that on the foundation day, say we will talk about that. But it's a coincidence. And I request Dr. Ashok Vaidya and Dr. Rama Vaidya, another colleague, to please come forward and help us to develop this Department of Integrative Medicine. We have hardly 3 or 4, personnel from Ayurveda or naturopathy, but we certainly, they are not the researcher, they are just the basic healthcare provider. So we require your support and guidance. So I look forward that this MRC KHS will flourish in the coming time. And at Kasturba Health Society, say we always feel that MRC KHS is a shining jewel in the crown of Kasturba Health Society. And I feel that the shining of this jewel will continue, rather it will have more shining, and which will bring the laurel not only to this MRC KHS, but to Kasturba Health Society also. So thank you very much.
We thank you, Shri Dhirubai sir and Dr. Garg sir, for your constant support and guidance. Today we are truly privileged to have with us as a chief guest who needs no introduction, Dr. Raghunath Mashelkar. He is a beacon of excellence in the area of research and development. We request Dr. Deepak Dave, Medical Director KIHS-MRC, to introduce our eminent chief guest.
Formality demands that one introduces the chief guest. But here is a chief guest who needs no introduction. Everybody knows him so well. But still, I think it's a great privilege to introduce a man like Mashelkar. Got to get used to these ideas of talking like this. Anyway, Dr. Mashelkar is amongst us, and it's a great privilege because I remembered, and I talked to him this morning, he remembered it also, that first interaction we had with Dr. Prakash, Dr. Mashelkar, Dr. Ashok Vaidya was at Chitrakoot. It was a golden triangle, and it was a great thing, wonderful. That is where we interacted first. Dr. Mashelkar is an FRS, Fellow of the Royal Society. And I cannot enumerate how many universities have made him fellows. When I was reading his biodata in Google Auntie tells you he is a fellow of maybe 8, 10, 12 universities, which is a great laurel. He is Director General Counsel and Industrial Research, Chairman of National Innovation Foundation, and President of Indian National Science Academy. To the common man, he is known for fighting the wrong patents given by United States office on turmeric and basmati because he fought there, we've got these things back to us. Also for promoting the concept of Gandhian engineering and for setting up Anjali Mashelkar Foundation that is dedicated to making high technology work for all, especially the poor amongst us. To scientists, he is known for winning highest scientific honor after Nobel Prize, which is Fellow of Royal Society. And signing in the same book that Newton has signed, which I think is a great laurel by itself. Also for his transformative science leadership, since CSIR transformation under his leadership is ranked at the top 10 achievements of Indian science and technology of 20th century. He is also famous for record of 16 Mashelkar committees set up by various governments to find solutions to various problems rating at national levels. Hold your breath, ladies and gentlemen. 48 universities around the world have honored him with honorary doctorates. Wow. Dr. Mashelkar has been a member of Scientific Advisory Council to Prime Minister for over 30 years. He's been honored with Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan. Bharat Ratna award must be waiting in the shelves. Last month, Ram Mandir was Indian news on 22nd of January. On 24th of January, MRC KHS is totally taken over by Raghunath. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Mashelkar.
Thank you. Can I close this? Yes. Yeah. All right. Our most revered Dr. Ashok Vaidya, although he is not physically here, he is everywhere in spirit. As we know, he is omnipresent. Dr. Rama Vaidya, Dr. Garg, Dr. Prakash, Dr. Deepak Dave, Dr. Raut, and friends. First of all, my heartiest congratulations on the 15th Foundation Day, but more importantly, this enormous journey of a great institution built by an institution itself, Dr. Ashok Vaidya. He's most revered. To me, he has been an iconic figure. When I got to know him, there was something special about the relationships we built, both with Ashok and Rama, and they have continued. In fact, I must begin my speech with the admission. What happened was when Rama's mail came, I think from here, and I'm very intuitive and instinctive. So as soon as I saw a request from her, I said yes, without thinking. But as it turns out, you know, Prakash, my wife has these art exhibitions, and the inauguration is supposed to be today morning. So you can quite clearly see the challenge that I had, but she was very understanding. I said, look, I have said yes, I won't want to change it. I would go. So what is happening is that at 4:30, we are doing it. Some people are coming and so on and so forth. So with your permission, I'll be leaving a little early. That's why I've been given an earlier chance. I thank you for accommodating my request. Several things spring to my mind today. You know, they say parachute works best when it is open. Mind is also like that. Mind works best when it is open. And that openness can come through the kind of integration that you're talking about. Because since morning we have used the word integration, integrative, at least 20, 30 times. And that is the key. As far as India is concerned, if you ask me what's most important, I would say integration, inclusion, and innovation. Inclusion is very important. Yesterday I was in a function where awards were given for compassion, by the way, in different categories. And I loved it, because compassion is the key. Right? I was talking to Nobel laureate Kailash Satyarthi, and he's launching a movement on globalizing compassion. He wants to create a compassion index, because that is something that is missing. If you see, deficit of trust, deficit of compassion has been the challenge, right? And therefore, inclusion only can come through compassion, basically. And of course, innovation is the key. Inclusive innovation is the key. And therefore, this integration that has been talked about all along, and your last slide was also on integrative Ayurvedic biology. I think that's extremely critical. You know, my mind goes back to my childhood, and some of you have heard this story, but I want to repeat it and give it a different connotation. As you all know, I was born in a very poor family. I walked barefoot until I was 12. I studied under street lights and so on. And the breakthrough came when I stood 11th among 135,000 students in SSC exam, and I got a Tata scholarship. And the 60 rupees per month is because of which I'm standing here today. That's how I got an opportunity. But the interesting part was that I studied in a municipal school in Marathi medium. And I remember I had to move from 7th standard to 8th standard, a secondary school. As I said, I walked barefoot, so I needed shoes, I needed uniform, I needed admission fee, and that totaled 21 rupees. And it took my mother 21 days to collect those money, and that was a housemate, friend of hers in Chowpatty, who used to do housemaid's work in a Gujarati family. It was her the funds that she had accumulated, she loaned it, or gave it, as a matter of fact. By that time, admissions to good schools were closed. And I went to a poor school, and that was a breakthrough in my life, because that poor school had rich teachers. Okay? One of them was my science teacher. And his name was, of course, he became principal later on, Principal Bhave. And he did not believe in chalk and talk. He believed in learning and doing, observing and learning, and so on and so forth. So one day he took us out into the sun. He had this convex lens in his hand. He had a piece of paper. And he moved the convex lens up and down, just wanted to show us the focal length, how to find it. And when the brightest spot came on the paper, it burnt. And when it burnt, of course he said, this is the distance, that is focal length. But when the paper burnt, he turned to me for some reason. And he said, like this, if you focus, you can achieve anything in the world. That was, you know, in all our life, there is a wow moment. This was wow moment. Did two things. Science is so fantastic, so powerful, I must become a scientist. The second was focus and you can achieve anything. But the point I'm now coming to is linked to today's function is the following. As I grew older, I saw more meaning in it. What does convex lens do? Sun's rays are parallel. And what is the property of parallel lines? They never meet. What does convex lens do? Converges, right? So, when you talk about different disciplines who don't meet, when you say transdisciplinary, it is convex lens leadership. When you talk about Ayurveda and homeopathy and allopathy and this, that and the other, they never meet. What does convex lens do? It makes them converge. So I think what we are talking about today, what you have been practicing, what we have been striving for and what India should be striving for is this convex lens leadership. What does concave lens do? Take them apart. We can't have concave lens leadership, which takes societies apart, race, religion, language, no question. So that is the bigger platform, I would say, the convex lens leadership. And that's where actually we require open mind, so as to say. Now, you talked about Chitrakoot, and you asked me to sort of repeat that experience. It was very simple. We had all of them, Ashok, all of you were there, and Nanaji Deshmukh had invited me to sort of speak, and we created what was called as the Chitrakoot Declaration. Yes. You remember that? And finally we said, modern medicine, modern science, and ancient wisdom that comes through our ancient knowledge systems, as you appropriately call it, ancient insights, they should be brought together. And you know, fortunately what happened was that at that time, Sushma Swarajji was the health minister, and Nanaji had this, he did not have any position, but he had that moral authority. I think most important is not the authority that you have when you are a chief minister, prime minister, etc. You go away as a chief minister, prime minister, you lose your authority. Moral authority is the ultimate. Nanaji Deshmukh had that. And I remember her talking to her, and she created that program in Ayush, and some of us sort of participated. So that is that particular story that was being taken there on a on a policy level and so on and so forth. I've been a great believer in integration. I remember, and Prakash, you will remember, before my laying down my office, and a year before that, I changed the name of RRL Jammu to Indian Institute of Integrative Medicine. It is known as the Triple IM, actually, you know. So it is not just for giving lectures or sending messages. I have actually basically done it. In fact, I remember in CSIR, you remember 11 May 1998, when you all got together, 40 labs. In fact, when I took over, no two labs were talking to each other. And through this program, 19 laboratories were integrated, if you remember. I think once the issue was again that of sort of a mindset and getting things together. I remember going to Arya Vaidyashala, Kottakkal, stayed there for 2 days. And Dr. Valyathan was very helpful. He was the one who brought us together. And I remember in that Arya Vaidyashala, Dr. Warrior and myself, we signed a memorandum of understanding. All right, and that time I remember Dr. Valyathan saying, this is a holy day. Sangam is happening between two rivers. One is a river of ancient wisdom and another one is modern science. The only thing I asked at that time, why did it take so long for that Sangam to take place? Just think about it. When we look at our competitive advantage, you know, there was a time when I used to say the competitive, finally 3 things that will matter and India will lead.